Hey, so I just want to start by setting the tone and saying this isn't a sad story. I'm going to reflect on my own startup journey and when I knew it was time to give up after 6 years. And maybe that'll resonate with you. But more than anything, I want to focus after I go through that on what came next and how I think, even out of that failure, I've had the most success I could ever dream of. And it all started with the startup. So, hi, my name's Tashi. I started a business almost a decade ago before I started my corporate career at a Fortune 200 company in commercial real estate, but we'll get to that. And it took 6 years of my life. And it was about a company that turned restaurants which were closed during the day into a network of co-working spaces. So quite relevant in today's world where hybrid work is running amok and people are trying to figure out if they want to go back to the office or not. But back then it was a slog. And 6 years is no small feat, especially when it's a startup. And majority of that time I wasn't drawing a salary out of the business. Any money we made, we pumped back into the company. And at one point we hit a $10 million valuation. People really were excited about our brand and us as co-founders. And we were hot shit. But all of that caught up with us pretty quickly towards the end because we didn't focus on a few key things and we frankly burned out. So if you're in the middle of your startup journey or towards the end of it and you're having a hard time letting go, this message is for you, I guess. Because I'm a big believer in grit, in making it work and sticking it out and hanging in there when, you think you should give up, but it just takes, one more phone call or one more deal or one more push or one more allotment of time that you can give it. But there is a point where you just need to kind of let it go. And for me, there were three key things that indicated to me it was time to let go. One, the big thing was towards the end, I just wasn't passionate about the idea anymore or excited. We were getting momentum, we were getting deals, we were getting partners. And even though I loved the problem we were solving, I wasn't waking up going, with goosebumps going, what am I going to do next? How am I going to solve it? Because I didn't take care of myself throughout that journey. Meaning I wasn't celebrating the small things. I wasn't taking care of my health. I was resenting the fact that my friends and family and old colleagues before I started this journey were becoming successful in their own right. But I decided to take this risk. It just wasn't stacking up for me, and that was impacting my work. And I found that even if I pushed through that, another 6 years, it just wouldn't have been in the cards for me. I wouldn't have given it my everything. It would have probably gotten to the point, because I was the CEO, that if it did work, I would have found someone else to be a CEO. And I would have become a founder, but then someone that advises on strategy and sales. That's pretty much it. So if you find yourself losing that magic and that drive, that's the first huge red flag. The second one was, even though our co-founders, my particular co-founder that I started with, an incredible person, he's doing great things right now, I felt like even he was losing steam. We were losing steam collectively. We weren't at that point where we were holding each other super accountable. We weren't working as hard as we both could. There was a deviation of towards the end, we weren't 100% in it. Some of us were like, oh, I'm going to go start this side business, or I'm going to go start this company because it's going to help make money and blah, blah, blah. Or, I'm going to diversify my interests. And as soon as that happens, and I'm not saying it's the end of the world and that's the end of it, but when the focus shifts in that way, even if it may be the responsible thing to do, frankly, because most startups and founders that make it work are a bit loopy in the head, myself included, it's probably not a good sign, right? And that coupled with you losing some steam is probably a double sign for you to start kind of making things, starting to make other considerations. And I guess the last one was I wasn't fueled by competition, right? When I would see competitors entering the market or trying to copy us or do the same things, it didn't drive me to go, okay, we're going to kick their ass and we're going to do better. It was almost a exit strategy thought process in my mind. It was like, ooh, can they buy us? Or can we exit to this larger corporate company that are too slow and not nimble enough to do what we do? What's the exit? What's the valuation? How can we get out? And I feel like any successful business in my perspective, if you've got an exit strategy in mind, it's probably not going to work, because I feel like the greatest businesses out there, and startups especially, come from a problem that you're trying to solve and something that you really want to do without I'm going to exit this in 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years time or whatever. Because if you've got an exit in mind, you're not doing it for the right reason from your own kind of perspective as a founder. So those were the 3 things that kind of, made me realize it was probably time to give up. And the way we did it is the important part. This is kind of where I want to talk to you about what comes next. So we actually exited. We did find a company that would acquire us, but it wasn't this huge payday. It was almost this, hey, we like your tech, we like what you do, we like your brand, we like you. Let's figure out a strategic deal here, which we did. But what I found as a founder, I guess, was that I didn't do it because I needed to work for myself and I didn't want to work for a big company. It's just that I was really passionate about solving that problem. And I learned a lot of things in the way, especially juggling lots of moving parts, behaving like an entrepreneur and having that spirit. So the industry that I was trying to work in, which was co-working specifically, and office space and sustainability and all of that, hospitality, I've tried to figure out a way how I could take all of those skills and that niche understanding of that industry and what was growing to apply it to a larger business, to apply for that. So fast forward today, I now lead a team at a Fortune 200 company called JLL, and I lead the Flex team, and I've been doing that for 5 years now and have applied all those entrepreneurial characteristics within that business. So I started as a team of 2, and now I've grown it to a team of 40, and we've got big things on the horizon. So if you're at the point where you need to give up, it doesn't mean it's done. You never know. You could go away and skill up, because a lot of the people who may be listening to this are first-time founders or young founders and come back and revisit that idea or another business after you develop some more business acumen, operational skills or technical skills, whatever it is. But then figure out a way how you can leverage all of those skills and that experience you've built to apply to a bigger machine. And what can you do there? And I think that's the important part of this message, because I think startups are sensationalized in the sense that you only succeed if you've got this ridiculous exit or if you've built this unicorn company. I feel like success can be derived in different manners. Like, treat it like this huge learning exercise where you've done some great things and you've tried to make it work, but it hasn't worked. But then take all those learnings and apply it to another team and another business and thrive and grow with them. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm 37 years old right now. Frankly, I would not be surprised if I start another business at some point in my life in the next, 3 to 5, 10 years. Because Harvard Business did a study where the most successful entrepreneurs were actually in their early to mid 40s. Because by then they've got experience, they've built a network, they know an industry really well, and they're an expert, and they really apply themselves there. So again, the whole point of this video isn't to be a downer and to kind of make you feel bad that it's not working. It's a happy ending. I think you should really pat yourself on the back and be proud that you gave it a shot. If it is the end of that road, just figure out how to be strategic on winding that up and taking those skills and applying it somewhere else, potentially in the same industry. There's a lot of large companies out there that are really trying to find entrepreneurial spirits like yourselves and figure out how to integrate them within their businesses. And if you learn how to do that on top of your startup expertise, you become quite a valuable asset to a lot of businesses out there, which I've learned running my own path. So good luck. You've got this, and congratulations on starting and failing a business.